What's up, comic fans? Welcome back to Comic Central. Here in InfoXpress, and holy cow, do I have some massive news that's going to absolutely blow your mind this week. We're talking about the impossible becoming possible. Marvel and DC are joining forces in ways we haven't seen in years. I'm talking about crossovers that could rival the legendary events of the 90s and 2000s. Plus, we've got legendary creators making surprise returns. There's a kaiju Superman on the horizon, interdimensional chaos in the Marvel universe, and some industry-shaking news that's going to affect how we get our comic information. Trust me when I say this, if you're a fan of either Marvel or DC, or especially if you love both like I do, you absolutely do not want to miss this week's breakdown. We're diving deep into everything from Deadpool meeting Batman to Tom King's shocking return to Gotham City. But before we dive into this comic chaos, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button if you're as hyped as I am about these announcements. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and ring that notification bell because comic news moves fast and you don't want to miss a single update. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, let's start with what I'm calling the nuclear bomb of comic news. Marvel and DC crossovers are officially happening this fall, and I cannot contain my excitement. We just got confirmation that Marvel has announced backup stories for Deadpool Batman. Yes, you heard that right, the Merc with a mouth is teaming up with the Dark Knight. Now, for those of you who might be new to comics or weren't around during the golden age of crossovers, let me explain why this is such a monumentally big deal. The last major wave of Marvel-DC crossovers happened in the late 90s and early 2000s. We had incredible stories like Superman vs. Spider-Man, Batman and Punisher, JLA and Avengers, and who could forget the legendary DC vs. Marvel event that literally had fans voting on the outcomes. These weren't just random team-ups, they were universe-defining events that brought together the best elements of both publishers. But here's the thing, these crossovers stopped happening for years due to various corporate reasons, licensing issues, and creative differences. So when I tell you that Marvel and DC are collaborating again, I'm talking about something that seemed impossible just a few years ago. Now, Deadpool and Batman might seem like an odd pairing at first, but think about it. You've got Wade Wilson, the fourth wall-breaking chaos agent, meeting Bruce Wayne, the ultimate straight man who takes everything deadly seriously. The comedic and dramatic potential here is absolutely insane. I'm already picturing Deadpool making jokes about Batman's no-kill rule while Batman is trying to figure out how this guy keeps talking to the audience. And the backup stories? That suggests this is just the beginning. We could be looking at a whole new era of Marvel-DC collaboration. DC's creative revolution. But the crossover isn't the only bombshell this week. DC just dropped some news that has the entire Batman fandom in absolute chaos. Tom King is making his return to Batman. Now, if you're not familiar with Tom King's work, let me catch you up. This is the writer who gave us some of the most psychologically complex and critically acclaimed Batman stories in recent memory. His run explored Bruce Wayne's trauma, his relationships, and his psychology in ways that were both beautiful and absolutely devastating. We're talking about storylines like the War of Jokes and Riddles, I Am Gotham, and that heart-wrenching City of Bane arc. King has this incredible ability to get inside Bruce Wayne's head and show us not just Batman the hero, but Bruce Wayne the broken man trying to heal while fighting an endless war on crime. His writing style is unique. He uses repetition, focuses on emotional beats, and isn't afraid to show Batman at his most vulnerable. Some fans love it, some find it too slow burn, but nobody can deny the impact his stories have had on the Batman mythology. And speaking of DC shaking things up, their September solicitations just dropped, and they are absolutely wild. We're getting Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum #2, and get this, Superman gets turned into a kaiju. The creative team from Ice Cream Man is bringing their surreal, reality-bending storytelling to the Man of Steel. If you've read Ice Cream Man, you know these creators don't play it safe. They create stories that mess with your head and challenge your expectations. Having them turn Superman into a giant monster? That's the kind of bold, creative risk that makes comics exciting. This isn't just a gimmick either. It's exploring what happens when Superman's power becomes truly uncontrollable. What does it mean for the world's greatest hero to become its greatest threat? These are the kinds of philosophical questions that make superhero comics more than just punch-em-ups. But wait, there's more. DC is also hitting us with some major milestone issues that are going to have lasting impacts on these characters' stories. Superman #25 is bringing back Lex Luthor in what DC is promising will be a game-changing story. Now, Lex has been relatively quiet lately, but when he comes back big. This is Superman's greatest enemy we're talking about, the man who represents everything Superman stands against. Lex's return in a milestone issue suggests they're not just bringing him back for a quick fight, but for something that's going to reshape the Superman mythology. And Wonder Woman number 25 sounds absolutely massive. Diana's finding Etta Candy, a missing Amazon named Emily, and, here's the kicker, there's apparently a little bundle of joy that's going to change everything. Now, I don't want to speculate too much, but when DC says something is going to change everything in a Wonder Woman milestone issue, I'm thinking we're looking at major mythology expansion here. Could we be looking at new Amazons, a new generation of warriors, or something even bigger? The fact that they're being so cryptic about this bundle of joy has my theory brain working overtime. Plus, we're getting Robin and Batman Jason Todd, a new 3-issue miniseries focusing on the early days of the second Robin. This is fascinating because Jason Todd's story is one of the most tragic in DC history. He's the Robin who died, came back as Red Hood, and has this incredibly complex relationship with Batman. But this series is focusing on the early days, before everything went wrong, before the Joker, before the tragedy. It's exploring that unique dynamic between Bruce and Jason when there was still hope, when Bruce thought he could save this angry kid from the streets. It's going to be heartbreaking because we know how it ends. Now let's swing over to the Marvel side of things, where reality itself is getting turned upside down. Kamala Khan just defeated Legion, and if you don't know who Legion is, he's one of the most powerful and dangerous mutants in the Marvel Universe, the son of Professor X with reality-warping abilities that honestly make him a cosmic-level threat. So Kamala beating him? That's already huge. But here's where it gets really crazy. She's now stuck in the Age of Apocalypse timeline. For those who might not be familiar with this alternate reality, let me paint you a picture of just how bad this is. The Age of Apocalypse is one of Marvel's most brutal and hopeless alternate realities. It's a world where Apocalypse conquered everything, where heroes are either dead, corrupted, or fighting a losing battle against impossible odds. It's a reality where hope itself seems to have died. So imagine Kamala Khan, this optimistic, heroic teenager who represents the best of what heroes can be, suddenly trapped in a world where heroism seems pointless. It's the perfect setup for a character-defining story arc. How does someone who embodies hope survive in a world without it? This isn't just a quick adventure either. Being stuck in an alternate timeline means Kamala is cut off from her family, her friends, her entire support system. She's going to have to rely on versions of heroes she knows who might be completely different people. It's psychological horror mixed with superhero action. Now here's some industry news that might seem small, but could have big implications for all of us as comic fans. Diamond has canceled the Previews catalog. For those who don't know, Previews has been the way that comic shops and fans have discovered new comics for decades. It's been the catalog that tells us what's coming out months in advance, with solicitations, covers, and descriptions of everything Marvel, DC, and independent publishers are releasing. Diamond canceling this means both Marvel and DC are going to have to find new ways to get solicitation information to fans and retailers. This could mean more direct-to-consumer marketing, more social media announcements, or completely new distribution methods. It might seem like a small change, but it represents a shift in how the comic industry operates. We're moving away from the traditional comic shop model towards something more modern and digital first. As fans, we're going to have to adapt to new ways of discovering and ordering our comics. So why is this week so special? Why am I spending nearly 10 minutes breaking down these announcements? Because what we're seeing here is both Marvel and DC taking bold creative risks while honoring their legacy characters. And that's exactly what the comic industry needs right now. The crossover announcements alone signal that Marvel and DC are willing to put aside corporate competition for the sake of giving fans what we've been asking for. These companies are recognizing that collaboration can benefit everyone. Creators get to play with new characters, fans get dream matchups, and the industry gets the kind of buzz that brings in new readers. The creative team changes, like Tom King returning to Batman, show that publishers are willing to bring back proven talent for important projects. They're not just throwing random creators at their biggest characters. They're making strategic decisions based on what will create the best stories. The milestone issues prove that both companies are thinking long-term about their characters' development. These aren't just arbitrary issue numbers. They're opportunities to make real, lasting changes to these mythologies that have been evolving for decades. And even the industry changes, like the Previews cancellation, show that comics are evolving with the times. The industry is adapting to new realities, new technologies, and new ways of reaching fans. This week represents everything that makes comics exciting: innovation, collaboration, legacy, and the constant push to tell better stories with characters we love. All right, comic family, now I want to hear from you. This has been a massive week for news, and I know you've got opinions. First question, which crossover are you most excited about? Deadpool and Batman seems like comic gold, but what other team-ups do you want to see? I'm personally hoping for a Spider-Man and Flash race, or maybe Wonder Woman meeting Captain Marvel. Drop your dream Marvel and DC crossover in the comments below. Second question, what do you think about Tom King returning to Batman? Are you excited to see his psychological approach to the character again? Or do you prefer a different style of Batman storytelling? Let me know your thoughts. And third, which of these milestone issues are you planning to pick up? Superman number 25 with Lex Luthor's return? Wonder Woman number 25 with that mysterious bundle of joy? Or the Jason Todd miniseries? I love hearing what you're adding to your pull lists. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the family. We do weekly comic news breakdowns, creator interviews, and deep dives into comic history. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because comic news moves fast, and you don't want to miss any major announcements. Your support means the world, and I love seeing your theories and discussions in the comments every week. That's a wrap on this week's Marvel and DC breakdown, and what a week it's been! From historic crossovers that seemed impossible just a few years ago, to kaiju Superman adventures, from Tom King's triumphant return to Gotham City, to Miss Marvel's interdimensional nightmare, this has been one of the most exciting weeks for comic fans that I can remember. The fact that we're getting these major collaborations between Marvel and DC shows that the comic industry is in a healthy, creative place. Publishers are willing to take risks, creators are pushing boundaries, and fans are getting the stories we've been dreaming about. These aren't just random announcements, they represent a commitment to storytelling excellence, character development, and fan service in the best possible way. When companies bring back proven creators like Tom King, when they greenlight ambitious projects like Kaiju Superman, when they allow crossovers that fans have been requesting for years, that's the industry listening to us and responding with quality content. And let's not forget the impact this has on comic shops and the community. These big announcements drive traffic to local comic stores, create conversations between fans, and remind everyone why we fell in love with these characters in the first place. Whether you're a Marvel fan, a DC fan, or like me, someone who just loves great comic storytelling regardless of the publisher, this week has given us so much to be excited about. The future of comics is looking brighter than ever. Here in InfoXpress, thanks for watching this extended breakdown, and remember, keep reading, keep dreaming, and keep believing in the power of great storytelling. Comics are more than just entertainment. They're modern mythology, and we're living through some legendary chapters right now. Until next week, true believers and amazing fans, keep those pull lists ready, because if this week is any indication, we're in for an incredible ride.